Hey everyone, today I'm going to be doing what should hopefully be a fairly straightforward video, and that is going to be on this holster here, housing my Glock 19 with my Surefire X300, and this is a holster from Westac holsters. Now, I guess just a quick background on how I became introduced to these holsters was I was at a range event for the steel targets that I shoot. The company that makes those was hosting it, and the gentleman who makes these holsters happened to be there, and we got to talking, got his card, and kind of that was that for a little bit. Fast forward, I got an email from a very reputable, or so I thought, holster manufacturer in the industry who I've been known about for years and years and years. They're one of the oldest Kydex holster manufacturers that I'm aware of. They said, hey, do you want us to send you some holsters to review? I said, sure. Long story short, they were absolute garbage. I told them, look, I'm just not going to do a video. Here's what's wrong with them if you want my feedback, and we'll just call it good at that. So I was really bummed that I'd had this really negative experience with some holsters out there. And I said, you know what, I'm going to hit up this guy who makes these holsters and see if he can make me basically the same holster, and see if maybe it's just me being a snob with the other one, or whether or not that one just really didn't have features that I liked. And I can thankfully say that one was just a garbage holster. This one is far superior in almost every way, and I'll be running down what features this thing has, as well as some of the other options that may be available if you're looking for a good outside the waistband or even inside the waistband holster. Now, to run down the features, I'm going to go ahead and pull my Glock out, and we're just going to look here at what this thing has. First of all, you'll notice that this has just the wing style belt loops mounted to it right now. As far as outside the waistband go, these really work for me. Some people really like just those belt loops that mount directly behind the holster, and for whatever reason, I've just never had good success with those. They just don't seem to fit very well for me. They don't sit very tight for me, and it just kind of is what it is. So with this wing style, it takes up a lot more on your belt, but I have found that it's a little bit more comfortable for me and sits a little bit tighter to my body, again, for me. We're all individuals. Our biomechanics are a little bit different, so that may not be necessarily the case for you, but it is for me. Now, moving on to the actual body of the holster, one thing you'll notice is on this back side, this one has a full height sweat guard, which for me is really nice. Not only does it help in case it is coming in contact with bare skin, but it also helps keep your shirt out of the way for reholstering. So especially if you're carrying this again outside the waistband and you have your shirt tucked in, this will help keep that shirt out of the way so that when you go to reholster your gun, clothing isn't getting into the holster and possibly causing a negligent discharge or just preventing you from holstering cleanly. So I like that. That is optional. You can have that removed if you don't like it. Me personally, it seems to work just fine. As far as the front here, you may have noticed this interesting looking lip here at the front. And as I understand it, as it's been explained to me, basically that's to help guide the gun into the holster. It just gives you a little bit more of a lip there, which gives you a little bit more room for air to be able to actually holster it cleanly. It'll basically just guide that the muzzle of your gun back into the holster, and without adding too much area outside of the holster, it just helps with that. Has that made a big difference? Honestly, I don't really know. Typically, before I use a holster, before I actually carry a holster, I do quite a bit of drawing practice. So to me, it just felt natural. Maybe it did improve it, and that may have helped speed up that learning curve, but it wasn't really anything that I noticed. So it definitely wasn't a detriment in that respect. Now, one of the things I told him when he had this holster made for me was that I'm going to be running it with a threaded barrel on my Glock 19. This is a Faxon firearms threaded barrel. It's been working out really well for me. I'm really close to doing the review on it. I'll be doing it very soon. I just want to have one more suppressor, which I thought would be sooner rather than later, but it's turning out to be later. So we'll see. I've already tested it with, I think, 3 different suppressors, but the more the merrier. I may have to just get that done. Anyway, back to this holster. Having this little open front end kind of allows me to be able to accommodate whatever type of gun configuration I'm going to have it in, and even means that theoretically I could run it with a Glock 17 or a Glock 34 and still be just fine because of that open front. For those of you not familiar with the Glock models, any of those double stack Glocks are going to fit in any of the similar holsters as long as it's not a closed end. So this will fit a Glock 19, 17, and 34, at least in theory, or in this case, a Glock 19 with a threaded barrel, which extends that length out a little bit. One of the things that I like that he has versus that other company is adjustable retention. So you have a little screw down here on the holster, which allows you to kind of cinch down or loosen that so you can really fine tune that level of retention. That other holster didn't have it, and honestly, it was to the point where I had to send it back initially because it was literally unusable. It would not, the gun would not come out. About 90% of the time I would draw, the gun just would not come out of the holster. It was outrageously tight. I sent it back, and then when it came back, it was maybe 50% success rate, which is not great. And I couldn't adjust it. So this one has adjustable retention, so that has not been an issue for me whatsoever. And even then, it came pretty much good to go. I haven't had to make any adjustments to it, but if I did want to, it is there. So again, really nice things as far as that goes. One of the other things that I typically run into with this Glock 19 is I have one of the Tango Down Vickers slide locks on this, which has a little bit of a flare out to the lip of it, so you can get on it a little bit easier for doing single-handed manipulations, or even two-handed manipulations for that matter. The way he's designed these holsters is some of those you know, people who are new to holster making will typically just vacuum seal a gun to the holster and just have it be just a total one-for-one copy of it. But typically the more experienced holster makers out there do what you see here and basically have these little spacers so that some of those parts that stick out don't get caught and don't prevent you from being able to holster the gun. So this gun will holster and draw very cleanly. I'm going to be careful not to do it while I'm talking against the mic, but I'll just do it a couple times so you can see. Draws and reholsters very simply, and even with this light on here, there's still a nice little kind of positive click once it's fully in, and hopefully you can hear that. Maybe not, hold on. Either way, it holds in there nicely, and just FYI, this does have, it's empty, an empty chamber, but it is a fully loaded mag, so there is some weight here, and the way I have the tension set, it will not come out as I shake it, which is a good thing in my opinion. Don't want my gun to come out while I'm running. Now, as far as my actual experience using this holster, obviously when it came, I tried it out, wore it, you know, around the house basically, because typically I don't go out open carrying. That's just not my preferred method. But occasionally I do find the need to use an outside the waistband holster. Now, I've, again, seen that same company that I'd had issues with in the past advertise how well their outside the waistband holsters conceal. Absolutely not the case, in my opinion, or at least in my experience. Again, your body shape may be different to where it works for you. It just was not the case for me. Still not really the case here. Outside the waistband holsters are not really meant to be ultra concealable unless you have a weird body type or unless you wear, you know, large coats, which is not really my general thing. However, I did run this through the Spartan Training Concepts American Rifleman course, which is a 2-day rifle class, and in that I was wearing a chest rig, and then I had this as my outside the waistband holster, and it worked really, really well. During that class, we're rolling around on the ground, we're doing all sorts of movement drills and going prone, side, you know, urban prone, or however you want to refer to it as, and this thing just stayed in place, and it has been nice and durable, nice and issue-free, and that's really all you can really ask for from a quality holster, that it just does its job without having to be noticed and without you having to worry about it. It just takes care of everything for you. And again, that's been my experience here. Now, one of the cool things, at least as of this moment in time, things are always subject to change depending on how things go in the near future. If you wanted to order one of these, I know one of the things that can be an issue is shipping, because he is here local in Oregon, not too far from me, and that doesn't do people in Ohio, theoretically, a whole lot of favors. But again, as of right now, he is doing free shipping throughout the US, so no matter where you live, you can get one of these holsters fairly affordably, and these are very reasonably priced. Right now, again, they're on sale. Don't know how long that's going to last for, but even when they're not on sale, in my opinion, for what you're getting, they are very affordably priced. And he offers them in a lot of different configurations, including holsters that are compatible with the Olight PL Mini, which you guys, I know I've done a review on. I really like it, and it was really hard to find a holster manufacturer that would make a holster specifically for the PL Mini. This guy does it, and you know, that's always a good thing when holster companies actually make holsters for the guns you carry. Now, he does have quick ship options. I don't know what his general turnaround time is. It probably varies depending on what the current workload is, but he does have quick ship items for some of those things that are a little bit more ubiquitous in the market, so stuff that he's just always going to have on hand. So if you have a very common gun, maybe check that out, but he can special make just about anything. It may take a little bit longer, but he can make a holster to fit, again, just about anything. If you have questions, I would definitely recommend reaching out to him. But I really just can't be happier with my experience here. I don't run outside the waistband holsters very often, but when I do, I just want it to work. I don't want to have to think about it. And that's what this holster allows me to do. And again, at a very reasonable price. So if you want to check it out, I probably won't link in the description to it, but I'll put at the bottom of the screen what his website is. And then I would also recommend checking out his social media pages, especially his Instagram. He's pretty active over there on Instagram, so check that out and you can see, you know, all different kinds of stuff. His website's pretty well stocked. Don't want to get too deep into it, otherwise YouTube will probably have already deleted the video at this point in time. But it's all good things over there. Since I haven't mentioned it, and one thing I just noticed, realized that I forgot to mention, is that the magazine release is accessible under the sweat guard. Some people don't like that, and honestly, I don't really get why. As long as you're not running an extended mag release, I've never had an issue with a magazine release being bumped, whether inside the waistband or outside the waistband. I like being able to get access to it in case I want to. Some people will say that that's the worst thing in the world. Hey, more power to them. I like having access to that. I'm sure if you didn't, he could special make it to do that, but I like having access to that. And then as you can see, it does completely cover that trigger guard, so you don't have to worry about anything getting in there and causing a negligent discharge when that trigger gets pulled inadvertently. So again, definitely check out this guy's website. He, again, has fairly reasonable prices in my opinion. And again, currently things are on sale, and he does do free shipping throughout the US as of this moment in time. Check out his social media pages. I think it'll be worth it. And if you're looking for an outside the waistband or even inside the waistband holster, definitely give him a chance. So if you have any questions, comments, or concerns, go ahead and leave those in the comment section down below. Go ahead and tell me what your favorite holster manufacturer is, because I know there's a ton of them out there and I don't have experience with all of them. So definitely let me know what you think. If you have experience specifically with Westac holsters, definitely throw your experience in the comments. I like having as diverse of a data set as possible, so getting as much input as possible is always a good thing and definitely beneficial to people who are scrolling through the comments. But anyway, with all that said, as always, I hope you got something out of this video, and I really appreciate you watching.